Ladies, gentlemen, and lowlifes, thanks for tuning into this episode of Emo Brown Presents Local Love. Today, we got voice of San Diego's very own Jim Hinch.
That's right, BJ. We will be learning all about journalism with the one and oh, I know, man. We've been dabbling with that for a while now, but we have a true professional joining us today from the voice of San Diego, representing South County now, Mr. Jim Hinch. Hey, man. Thank you very much for cruising in and spending some time with us on this Monday afternoon.
It's good to be here.
Thank you. We've been flirting via text for a while on getting you in here, and ultimately, here we are. And now I'm interested because I know, for one, Voice of San Diego, we're big supporters of Voice of San Diego and everything they do, big fans. They've been looking for somebody to be a representative of all things South County, South Bay, South San Diego. So I was on pins and needles kind of waiting to see who's going to fill that void, who's going to come in and represent us. So I'm very happy to have you in here and tell us all about how you started, why you started, and ultimately what led you here to the Voice of San Diego in the South Bay. What is the official title with Voice of San Diego?
Like my official
Yours,
title?
correct.
I am South County reporter.
South County reporter.
So if it happens in South County, I cover it. Or at least I try to.
You've done it very well so far. You've done
Thanks.
it very well so far. You came in right at the forefront of the elections.
Yeah, exactly. Kind of walked right into the middle of it. Actually, one of the first interviews I had, I was talking to he's like a political consultant or something like that, or maybe it was one of the politicians, and I said, I'm kind of getting the impression that politics down here is a little rough and tumble. He says, welcome to South County, bro. And like that pretty much said it all.
Very much so.
Yeah, that it's kind of it's like a contact sport here.
I was never, and I always go over this. I mean, I didn't really have a big voice in politics until it truly represented everything that I'm a part of as a small business owner, as a parent to children in the elementary school district, the Children's Elementary School District, as a homeowner, as things that just kind of drew me in. And I was like, wait a minute, elections, presidential, gubernatorial, all of these things play a major role in what we do, but none as more important than what we do here locally. Local representation is crazy in the sense that these representatives truly dictate what can go on and happen in our day-to-day lives in all of those fields that are talked about, whether it's children's school, business, property, all of these things. So I started paying close attention, especially once we have businesses now on 3rd Avenue and on Broadway. I'm like, okay, what's going on? Who is my district rep? What is their agenda? What do they envision for our avenue, for our street in the next few years or during their term? I've learned a lot, Jim. I've learned a lot.
Yeah, well, I mean, the way that I think about it is I know that a lot of people just say, politics, and they tune it out. But a couple things about that. One, exactly like you said, when you reach a certain stage in life, maybe you have kids, maybe you own a business, maybe you work for a business or something. All of a sudden, you have some skin in the game.
Yes.
Like things are at stake for you. But also, there's just so much that politics controls that you don't think about. I mean, here we are talking, and our voices are going out over the interwebs through the magic of electronic communication. I got here by driving my car on the freeway and the streets. Every single one of those things that I'm talking about, the communications infrastructure, the cell phone towers, the roads, the street paving, all of it is only here because some politician, probably a city council member, made a decision, read a report, and took a vote. And literally, when you go to city council meetings, these huge agendas that are full of line items, and it'll have questions like, should the city give permission for company X to put a cell phone tower on the corner of blah, 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 and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And so the only reason why we're able to do this is because the politician voted yes. And after a while, you get to know who these people are and what their philosophies are. And maybe one guy comes in campaigning hard and he's like, screw these cell phone towers. I hate them. They're a blight on the landscape. Plus, I hate cell phones. we don't need that. And you're like, whoa, whoa.
Take it easy, bud.
I know. I use them. So you're going to vote for the other guy.
Yeah.
That's a simplified example, but basically, like politics, what happens in city government, how they spend the money that you give them when you pay sales taxes and property taxes and all those kinds of things, it matters.
Very
and then
much
especially when you have kids, exactly what they're learning about in their schools, whether they have good teachers or bad teachers, whether they have enough for field trips or, science extracurriculars, stuff like that.
A little bit about yourself. What brought you into the world of journalism? Where did this passion commence? Where are you originally from?
So I was born and raised in Long Beach, suburb of Los Angeles. I guess journalism's kind of in my blood. Both my parents worked for newspapers.
Oh, cool.
And I was kind of partially, actually literally raised in a newspaper building. There was this long period of time when my little brother and I were like little kids, like around kindergarten, first grade, second grade, something like that. Our mom and dad worked at the same paper, the Long Beach Press Telegram, which back then had it was like a big paper back then, had like a lot of reporters, had its own building. The printing presses were down in the basement. And my dad for a while was working as a night editor, and my mom worked as an education reporter during the day. So the way it would go is he would pick us up after school. We'd goof around for a while, go have a hot chocolate somewhere or something. And then he would drive to the office. And then we would hang around in the building for a couple of hours till my mom was ready to go home. And then she would drive us home. So the newspaper was our babysitter.
That's awesome.
And we had free reign. Everybody in the building knew us, and we'd go bug the cafeteria
Here come
ladies.
the Hinch kids.
Yeah, to see if they'd give us a quarter for the vending machine. We'd go to the art department and look at all the, the joke pictures that the graphic artists had put up. We'd explore around the secret corridors and everything. And then when the presses started up, we would go down to the press room and we would watch them start up. And they made this huge noise, and there's all these guys with these noise-canceling headphones, and there's these newspapers rolling everywhere. So yeah, there's kind of a romance to it. It's kind of cool.
Yeah, no choice. This was your destiny.
Yeah, and I thought for a while that I wanted to be a college professor or something like that. But I had this moment of revelation that was just kind of my instinct is to be a teacher, but I also love to write, and I love people, and I'm just infinitely curious about people and what makes them tick and how they make a life for themselves and how their communities work. And when you're a college professor, you tend to specialize in a very narrow subject. And I don't think I have that specialization gene. I like to learn about everything.
More of a broader scope on everything.
Yeah. And what I love about being a news reporter is that every day it's like going back to school. Every day I start with a new story. I'm just about to work on a story that I like to think of as National City versus the Port of San Diego, because the two of them are going at it. They're
going at it right now.
Over these various issues. And I don't really know a lot about the port, and I don't know a lot about how a port can affect a city. So I have to learn about that. So I call people, I talk to them, and it's I get a little mini graduate education in how a port authority works and how it can hurt or help a city and what a little city like National City can do about it. Fascinating. Plus, it always comes down to human personalities anyway. You've got some guy on the city council who's a fighter.
Yeah.
So it's just that just speaks to me. So it's sort of I don't think I had any choice but to do this job.
That enthusiasm and that passion that you're showing right now for what's new, what you are about to embark on here in the South Bay, I have that same on the opposite side. It makes me extremely happy that you're showing this passion and you're excited to take on this, because we have been underrepresented in that sense. I don't feel that there's been anyone down here in the South Bay that just focuses on what goes on. National City, Chula Vista, Imperial Beach, Paradise Hills, Bonita, all of these things. I feel like it's just a blurb. It's just a quick, and in other news or in this. I'm excited that somebody is here to take the reins and tell us the story of what is the beef between the port and the city of National City. What is going on in District 3 City Council, District 2, the elections. I feel that we're more than a blurb. I feel like we deserve a little bit more insight on what's going on in our town.
I think more than a blurb, and maybe this is just me already infected by a little bit of local pride. But I actually kind of think that in some ways, South County might be at the leading edge of what's going on and what's coming in San Diego County, to an extent that maybe nobody in San Diego County really realizes. And that would be something that I would want to shine a light on. Because I actually think, I can't remember whether we were recording when we talked about this, but when we talked about the sort of the interesting mix of left-leaning instincts and more right-leaning instincts in some Democrats here in South County.
Yes, sir.
I think that elected leaders here have picked up on that and are responding to it, and that there is a willingness, indeed a sense of like, I better do this or voters will be mad at me, a willingness to explore different solutions to problems than maybe in other parts of the county they're exploring right now. Because maybe in other parts of the county, they just have more of a, we're just going to plug and play the standard Democratic policy playbook.
And it works.
And in South County, I think that leaders are being forced to improvise and try new things. And this is my hunch, my theory.
Hinch's hunch.
Hinch's hunch.
Yeah.
Let's do the new segment.
Actually, that's something that my brother talks about. He calls it the Hinch hunch, the sort of the instincts about what people are really thinking. But anyway, I have a Hinch hunch about about South County, that the rest of the county will end up following South County's lead on some of these issues, and that the supposed afterthought is actually going to be in the forefront.
Agreed. What moves the needle in other parts of San Diego doesn't really make an impact down here.
Yeah.
We're focused on things that are, well, and I can say this only for us that live down here. We're focused on things that are completely different. You know, social issues aren't really at the forefront of what we're concerned with. We were talking about this before we started recording. We're concerned with jobs. We're concerned with education. We're concerned with who is running our city, how they're running their city. What are they doing with the taxes that are collected from us, their constituents? That's what moves our needle, because we're all blue-collar workers down here. I learned that when COVID hit and the pandemic hit. We are the frontline workers. Everybody down here, there was a higher case of COVID, people contracting COVID down here than anywhere else. Why? Because we were the factory workers. We are the delivery people.
Some would say essential.
Essential workers all live here. Most people leave Chula Vista, go north and work. It's rarely people from north that come down here and work in Chula Vista. So it's like, oh man, we got to get people that are running our city that have that same mentality.
Yeah.
And we've had that opportunity. And like I mentioned before, we are not a political podcast. But just by a victim of circumstance, we started when the mayoral race was going on. So we had Mary Salas come on, and we had Mr. McCann come on. We've had all of the mayoral candidates come on and kind of talk to us about it. And it was from a selfish point of view on my end, because I'm like, okay, these are the questions I have for the situation that I'm in. What are you going to do about this? And how are you going to handle that? And what's your plan on this? And I got a frontline view of what was going on. I was like, okay, yes, no, maybe. And then it just all falls into place. Same now with the city council. So to have somebody like you to just kind of shine the light. We're the second largest city in the county of San Diego. A lot goes on down here. We're right at the border, the busiest border entrance in the world. So it's like we see a lot of these things. When people are talking about illegal immigration and how it's a big part of what goes on in their world, and we're like, we live in Chula Vista, I don't see it. Like, I see other things. I see other pressing issues. Yes, we see illegal immigration. We see people that come in here, but not to the point that it's like a top 2 talking point for what really pushes the needle for us.
No, you know that the Bayfront hotel project,
The Gaylord project, yeah.
Yeah. I have been told, I haven't independently verified this, but I don't have any reason to doubt it. It is currently the largest construction project in the United States.
Indeed. Most expensive one,
It's
too.
massive. And actually, when I was interviewing Cesar Fernandez, he said that one of his top priorities on the council is going to be to make sure that the jobs that are generated by that thing go to people in his district. And he represents his district.
Yeah, we're in his district here.
Yeah, right. And he feels like this district has been overlooked and neglected over the years, and that the city has paid more attention to maybe the eastern half of the city, or, and he's like, no, like, it's our time, and he wants to make sure that the builders of that project are giving preferential hiring to people who live in this district, and that when the city has park budget to spend, they spend it here, because this district is park poor.
I can definitely attest to what he's saying. I mean, there is a big east-west Chula Vista division,
I've noticed it.
All of the parks, all of that infrastructure goes to the east always. We get it. We used to live in the east. Was raised in Bonita. We got married, bought a house out in San Miguel Ranch. So that's all east. But when I came over here, I was like, you know what? It's very concrete jungle out here in the sense that nobody really talks to each other. The neighbors don't really know each other. Everybody just kind of looks down, wave in the morning, wave at night. Whereas out here, we live here pretty close to 3rd Avenue. And we've had that house for over 20 years. Everybody knows each other. Everybody's out on the streets. Everybody's saying hello. Hey, they know my kids. They know our dog's name. We're just out there playing catch, whatever, in the front yard. I wanted that more of that lifestyle to raise my family in. So when Caesar says that, that's what rings true. I can't vote for him. I don't live in his district, but I'm like, I need people like that who know what it is like to be from this district, this part of Chula Vista. But like he said, there's more money coming in. So we need to have people who know exactly how to handle that. The growth is going to be exponential in the next 2 years.
Well, and I think that could bring its own set of problems. I mean,
Very much.
In Long Beach, the city where I was born and raised, for, generations, Long Beach was the crummy bastard stepchild of Southern California. Navy town, port town, industrial town, slum town. When I was in high school in the 80s, this was like it was like the late 80s. We're in the middle of the crack years. And
Crack is a drug, BJ.
yeah.
Just in case you didn't know,
Thank you for
brother.
the tidbit.
Out of you, no problem.
And, there was tons of gang involvement. I actually remember, like, one of my memories at my, like two of my signature memories of my high school, everybody drove a lowrider, and coming out of the parking lot, it was just like a thump fest. And they had these speed bumps, and you have to
Take them at an angle.
and you have to take it at an angle.
Yeah.
Exactly. But also, like, my first day in gym, I roll up into the locker room wearing these red sweatpants. This guy takes me aside. He's like, "Hey, man, this is not a blood school. This is a Crip school. I would not wear those red sweatpants." He said, "I'll let you off today. Get yourself,
Oh, Jesus.
get yourself a pair of blue
Got
sweatpants."
checked by Snoop Dogg.
So next day,
He walks into the
day.
gymnasium.
next day, Hinch shows up with some blue sweat. Mom, I gotta get some blue sweatpants.
Now he's a Crip.
Mom, they're banging on me.
Yeah.
I need to come in blue,
Yeah,
Mom.
exactly. But Long Beach has changed over the years, and it's been a long time since I lived in Long Beach. It's been like 20 years. I was like a young single guy just starting as a reporter last time I lived in Long Beach, and even just in those 20 years, like, neighborhoods that were really kind of down at the heels are a lot more expensive now. It's like it's hard to find a house for a family in Long Beach for like less than $1 million, or at least 6, 7, 8.
I find comfort in knowing it's not just Chula Vista and San Diego.
Well,
then.
see, so there you go.
Yeah.
So there's a downside to prosperity and development, which is that eventually the kinds of people who create the kind of neighborhood that you're describing, where people have time, they visit, they hang out, they're not workaholics, they're not commuting all the time, they're not holed up in their house doing a tech job from their little lab on the second floor. Those kinds of people often can't afford those really expensive houses, and a community can change. And that would probably be a challenge for Chula Vista South County if it starts to get more expensive and upscale, is kind of how do we balance prosperity with our roots, you know?
It's going to be a balancing act for sure.
Yeah.
A lot of new opportunity, a lot of growth, and more growth, man. And I'm happy you're here to tell the tale.
Yeah.
Because that's going to be exciting. So Voice of San Diego put you in this spot in September, early September, I think you mentioned.
Yeah, I guess it's September 3rd. Something
What
like
is
that.
the direction that they gave you? Or do they just say, Hinch, handle it? Go down there, get your ears on the sidewalk, see what's going on, talk to some people, poke around, see what surfaces.
It's actually a little bit of that. Yeah, like the mandate for Voice of San Diego is that we don't try to cover every single thing that happens. You know, we try to figure out what are the most important issues in a community and then cover them in a fair amount of depth and detail. The ultimate goal is to give people the information that they need to make good decisions about their communities and to kind of improve the quality of life in their communities. So we have an education reporter whose mandate is report on schools in such a way that it helps readers, parents, and educators like make the schools better, like figure out what's wrong, why are they not working, who are the people who are standing in the way,
Who's to blame? Who's causing this?
and also who's doing a good job. Jacob, our education reporter, did a great story a few months ago about this incredible program. I think it's in San Diego Unifor, but maybe not. Maybe it's in another district. Like a school that's set up to serve migrant kids and deal with the particular issues that they arrive in the United States with. And so that's great. These guys are hometown heroes, you know. And so shine a spotlight on that, but also, yeah, definitely, you know, if there's corruption in the city council, if there are policies that aren't working, you know, if there are problems that are being ignored, those are the kinds of things that we would tend to gravitate to and that we would want to shine a light on and help people to understand.
I, for one, am excited for that, BJ.
Yeah.
I'm excited to hear all these tales, brother. We live here.
We do.
We're raising a family here. I want to know what's going on. And I feel like there hasn't been too much of anything or anyone or any company that has stood on their soapbox and said, hey, this is what's going on the West Side. This is what's going on in San Isidro. This is what's going on in IB. You know, and we get our news because we'll bring some of the city council members on here and we'll ask them questions. What's going on? We've brought in Nora Vargas and be like, hey, what's going on? How are we handling this? That's how we get our news. But to have like some sort of, you know, person that is strictly dedicated to providing that is a whole different level, man.
Well, yeah, I just did a whole story just pretty much on Michael Nzunza and Cesar Fernandez. They just got elected, and I just asked them, I said, what do you want to do? You have a runway now. Like, what do you want to do? And each of them gave like their top 3 or 4 priorities. And it was very interesting because to me, it suggested a change of direction, not like a massive course correction in the city, but a change of direction. Like Michael Nzunza, he's like, some Democrats are anti-police. That's not me. I want to crack down is basically what he said. Cesar Fernandez, this district has been neglected. I want more parks. I want more jobs. That's what I'm going to focus on. It's interesting. I'm just going to write one. I have a weekly newsletter. It's called the South County Report.
Ooh, where can we find that?
You can't. I think. Oh gosh, I don't know the shortcut URL. I think it's just. I think it might be VOSD.
Okay, so it is under the VOSD umbrella?
South
Okay.
County Report. Yeah. It's all. We have like a newsletter hub, and it's just one of the newsletters there. Comes out every Tuesday afternoon, evening. And tomorrow I did a long interview with Jose
Preciado.
Rodriguez, actually, from
okay.
National City.
All the Jose's, brother. We're going to get them all.
I know.
All those-
Just recently, just reelected for another 4 years on the National City Council. He's like a big proponent of like rent control, affordable housing, homeownership, stuff like that. So I called him up, said, Jose, what do you want to do with your second term? I expected him to say all that. He said, Jim, I'm like really depressed right now. I'm like, dude, you just won. Why? For him, it was all like Trump.
Oh.
And he said, you know, this administration, I take them at their word. They're going to do a massive deportation of people in the country undocumented. There are a lot of those people in my city and in my district. I don't know what I don't know what our city is going to do without these people. These people are like our economic base. I'm trying to figure out what I can do to help, and I'm just a city council person. So that was like really unexpected to me. So that's what I'm going to write about. I'm going to be like, national election intrudes on local politician and is causing him. I mean, he's even like thinking out loud. He's like, he sits on this countywide organization called the San Diego Association of Governments.
Okay.
Which is kind of like an umbrella organization that brings lots of governments together to kind of set regional policy. It's a little bit dysfunctional, but like, you know, there it is.
Shocker.
And he sits on like the public safety committee. And one of the things they oversee is like this regional justice information sharing system. He's like, I want to see if I can block Homeland Security from getting access to our regional justice information system so that they can't see whether people have undocumented status. Like, well, good luck on that.
Good luck. Yeah.
I know. Yeah, exactly. Because that's I have a feeling that's a kind of thing that's like above a city council member's pay grade. But nevertheless, like all of a sudden, like his brain, which was like pointing this way, is like whoosh, diverted off this way. And I think that's interesting. And I have a feeling he's going to bring that energy to the council. I think he's going to be elevating those issues. It might be kind of to no purpose because it's unclear how much really in the end influence a city council has over stuff like that. But the fact that it's like top of his mind and that he's going to be...
It's on his agenda for sure.
Yeah. And, you know, to me is like pretty significant. So I'll be writing about that. And then people who voted for him will know that. And next time he comes around to run, they'll be like, I remember he did that. And it'll either be, I love that, I'm so glad he did that. Or like, that dude, he should have just been paying attention to my
on a
street,
tangent and he
which has a
forgot about
pothole.
this. Yeah.
Exactly.
It's
But
like
the
tightrope they walk in politics, man.
but the whole point is to give the voters the information they need to know, like what these guys are up to, what's going on, what kinds of decisions are being made, and then they can then they can make an educated decision.
What kind of reception access are city government giving you now? Like, what kind of reception do you receive from them?
One of the nice things about working for Voice of San Diego is that it is a known,
Reputable, yeah,
and
for sure.
respected name or brand. So people tend to return my calls. Like if I text someone or call them, I do eventually hear back from them, and they understand that like they're gonna have to respond. When stories start getting a little more, I haven't actually. There are one or two stories where I'm going to need to make some significant public records requests, and that's where you kind of go in and you just and you just ask for like a big tranche of public records in order to sort of see what the officials have been emailing and talking about behind the scenes, or see if there's any documents that you need to look at. Yeah, so I think when I file those, it's going to be like, oh,
But what do you need these for?
yeah, exactly. And that's always a challenge as a reporter to make sure that sources understand that when they do good things, you're going to report on it, and when they do bad things, you're going to report on that too. And yeah, I'm making this public records request. Don't take it personally. I just need this information in order to write this story. But by and large, the reception has been good. And I think that's because of all the good work that my colleagues do, because I think they have created an organization that is respected. And I think that is viewed as, I've actually had people say, I know I'm not going to like everything you write, but I can trust that you'll try to be accurate and fair. And that, as a reporter, that's, like, my goal is not for everyone to like me, because at the end of the day, people don't always like you, because you do sometimes kind of report some like unwelcome things.
You're bringing things to light.
Yeah, exactly. But if people feel like I'm fair and people feel like I'm accurate, that I like really tried to get the details right, and that I'm fair, that I give everyone their chance to say, and that I don't come in there all hot with my own personal agenda, or I start bringing my own viewpoint into it, but I just kind of let the news speak for itself, kind of, then I feel like I've done my job.
How do you handle that? How do you handle that? The pushback or I don't like this or
It's actually, it's just, I think it's that I've been doing it long enough that I
jaded to it.
Yeah, I would like to. No, not jaded. When I was younger, I found it very hard. I think I still do kind of find it hard. There've been 1 or 2 times since I've been here where I wrote something that somebody was really PO'd about, or that they felt like it was inaccurate. That's always my greatest fear, that I'll get like a detail wrong and someone will call me on it. Like, I hate that. So actually, like, every time I see a text from a source, I'm like, oh crap, is he like telling me that like I got this thing wrong, or that something? And I was like, oh phew, no, he just wants to meet for coffee. Oh, good. But kind of at the top level, yeah, I have kind of learned just to let it roll off. And actually, there's one guy, like one of the first stories I wrote, it was like my first newsletter. This guy, who is somebody who he used to be with the Chamber of Commerce in National City, and he kind of knows a lot about the politics around here. And he wrote to me and he said, dude, your newsletter, you focused on this. You should have been focused on this stuff over here. You're looking at like, play stuff. You're not looking at the serious
real
stuff.
deal.
And he says, frankly, Jim, your first newsletter, ... sucked.
Oh man.
And I just wrote him back.
Unsubscribe, brother.
And actually, my daughter was looking over my shoulder with that email, because she's like, "Oh my God, Dad, what are you gonna say to that guy?" I was like, "You know what, Franny, you just have to like not take it personally." So I just wrote back. I'm like, "Hey, thanks so much for writing. I really appreciate you telling me what you think. Let's meet for coffee." And I did. And this guy ended up talking to me for 2 hours, telling me all kinds of great new stuff, and I'm actually just about to start reporting a particular story.
That's awesome. There you go.
That he said I should do. And actually, the first story I wrote about Cesar Fernandez, he didn't like that one. That was the one about the Dump Caesar website and all those allegations and all that stuff. And he didn't like that. Yeah,
he was sitting right here when he told me that. I was like, hey man.
Yeah, but I reached out to him like, hey man, I'm sorry. Don't take it personally.
You win some, you lose some, buddy.
And then he said, hey, you want to get together and meet? So we met at a cafe on 3rd Avenue and ended up talking for an hour or two. And he said, I appreciate you,
Very diplomatic of Caesar, out of him.
like, coming to talk to me. It was rough. I mean, this.
It seemed like a rough campaign.
It was a rough campaign, and it was made a little. I think it was made rougher by 2 things. One, this kind of semi-mysterious, although I think I did manage to penetrate the mystery a little bit. This political action committee that was mostly funded by real estate interests came in hard after him. They're the ones who paid for the Dump Caesar website. They're the ones who helped to stand up a recall effort against him in his current school board job. Yep. They're the ones who paid for, mailers, which you might have gotten in your mailbox, basically with all the same like Dump Caesar information. This guy
He wasn't happy that we put those mailers on the on his episode when he came on.
We blocked the important information.
Yeah, just so it's kind of it's a standard political play. You get like a special interest group that forms a political action committee that can become a vehicle for money. Mm-hmm. It's a little vague who exactly is spending the money. So and then you come out with the absolute worst information you can possibly dig up.
Well, congratulations on him to making it through, man. That's awesome.
Yeah, but then on the other side, he was backed by these big organized labor groups, and they spent big on monies. Ads for him. And actually kind of a late smear, like a couple days before the election, smear against his opponent, Rudy Ramirez.
He kept it pretty clean, and I was surprised when that happened. I was like, oh.
With some inaccurate information saying that he had been rated unacceptable by San Diego County Democrats, which was not strictly true. There'd been a local caucus of Democrats that had like recommended to the county party that they give Rudy this designation. The county party passed on it and said no. but they
They
just
took that and ran with it.
they took that and ran with it. And so, you get one of these things in the mailbox and it's got a picture of Rudy Ramirez looking like, like a felon or something, just like,
Man, we're in the wrong district, Barry. We got none of this.
Oh, well,
none of these mailers came our way.
It just says San Diego County Democrats, Rudy Ramirez, unacceptable. And so I felt like both sides really were kind of hitting below the belt a little bit in that race. But
Hammurabi's law, man.
But I think it's because the stakes are high right now. Especially
Is this the norm, Jim? Spending all this money on a city council position?
No, but I think there was extra attention being paid to this particular district because, this was the one that was represented by Andrea Cardenas, and she had to resign. She and her brother were indicted. So there was a lot of, I guess you could say, tension and energy around this seat. Also, this was a year when, one of these state propositions, Prop 33, was on the ballot, which was a rent control proposition, which would have, if it had passed, it would have given cities the option of enacting stricter rent control laws than state law right now allows. And I think that the apartment owners associations, the real estate interests,
enter those.
They were like, we need to do everything we can to keep people out of local city councils who might be sympathetic to extra rent control if this thing passes. And so of the two, Caesar and Rudy, Caesar, being backed by organized labor, would have probably been the more likely to say yes to rent control if it ever came up. Although I asked him, he said, that's not high on my agenda. Chula Vista has a tenant protection law. I don't think we need to tinker with it. Nevertheless, the real estate interest decided that he was a potential threat.
He's our target now.
And they went after him hard. So usually city council races fly under the radar. But like you said, Chula Vista, second largest city in San Diego County, a lot of economic growth potential here. This is Chula Vista is one of the rare West County cities with developable land left. And there are, Michael Nzunza was elected. A lot of that developable land is in his district. And he told me he wants to develop it, like right now. And he's ready to sit down with the developers who own that property and greenlight that building. So if you were a real estate interest group, you'd be like, I want all those new homes to be market rate. I don't want rent control in this city. This city is on the come up. We need to nip this in the bud. I think that's probably why they were pouring all that money into the race.
It's crazy because we neglect to see what's truly behind just the facade of what and who is running for certain positions. When you got to just do a little digging, peel one little onion layer out, then you really see, oh shit, this is what's going on.
Well, that's the whole purpose of political advertising, is to disguise who is actually doing the advertising. And so that's part, at least during election season, I feel like that's part of a journalist's job, is to dig in and be like, okay, people, when you get this thing in your mail, it's not just because, the tooth fairy decided that Cesar Fernandez is like a bad dude. It's because the apartment owners of California Political Action Committee decided
trying to deter the bad dude from taking control.
that they want to take this guy down.
Yeah,
and so I wrote a story about that. About a week or so before the election, I wrote a story about the big money in that race and how it was,
potentially shape it.
Yeah. Exactly.
I'm excited. I'm excited to hear to tell these stories.
Cool.
I just love listening to what's going on in our city, man. It's pretty cool.
Local cheeseman.
Local cheeseman with Jim Hinch. And it's cool because I'm at that age where some of my, friends, acquaintances, people in my demographic and age group, for whatever reason, are opting to jump into the political game.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And I'm like, dude, what are you doing, Caesar? Is this what you want to do? Like, oh man, like, what are you guys doing? It just seems like, it seems crazy. Yes, but now we have somebody here. It's the Chris Bergman. He's going to be like giving me the play-by-play on all of these things. Chris Bergman is a sports analyst. And and so he's going to, I like it, man.
Well, you're going to have to report back to me on whether being in politics changes your friends. Because
stand by.
No, because I've always wondered about that. I mean, I feel like as a reporter, I've observed that people get into politics. People get into politics for all kinds of reasons. Personal. Maybe they have a beef about their business or whatever, or they're idealistic about something. And then I've sometimes seen politics change people.
Really?
Yeah, because once you get in, you realize that you don't have as much ability to make change as you thought you did because there's bureaucratic layers and all these things. And so then you realize you have to start kind of plotting and conniving to get things done. And then as soon as it comes around time to run for re-election or run for whatever your next office is going to be, you're like, oh man, I got to raise all this money. I got to make sure I don't piss off this interest group or that interest group, or else they'll run a Dump Caesar website against me or something like that. So all of a sudden, way more calculation
that's true
goes into it. And some people get really caught up in it, and they're like, like I really like this, like I like having power. I like it that when people meet me, they're very deferential. Oh, hello, Mr. Mayor. Oh, it's really good to meet you. And people kind of like kiss your butt and stuff like that. And so, yeah, I have seen it change people. So it's always interesting to me to see the people who can be in politics for a while and kind of remain a normal human being.
And we're a certain kind of way down here, BJ, in the South Bay. Like we have, I feel like we have real relationships with our friends.
That's what I've heard.
It's like we have legitimate, real relationships. Our kids will play Little League together. They go to the same school, So it's like, it will be interesting to see some of the people that I know that have ran and won and currently are in position and just see how they change. Because it's like, oh, what happened to you, BJ? All of a sudden,
that's
you're
Mr. BJ to you.
Mr. BJ to you, brother.
Yeah, exactly.
Jim, my intent, my hope is we get an opportunity to tap in with you, upon your availability. I know you're going to be very busy moving forward.
I would make time.
I think it would be awesome.
I would make time, I don't know, once a month or whatever you think is like a good rhythm to talk to your listeners. Because my goal and the Voice of San Diego's goal is to spread the word, to get the information out, to reach as many people as we possibly can, to help as many people as we can understand their community. And I have a feeling that a lot of the people who listen to your show are not like waking up every morning and being like, I wonder what Voice of San Diego has to say.
You'd be surprised, man.
Okay, well, good. I'm glad to hear it. I'm totally glad to hear it. But for those who don't do that, I would be more than happy that's
going to be awesome.
To talk to them from this chair or whatever.
It'll be cool.
Monthly
BJ.
segment, the Hinch Hunch.
Yeah.
The Hinch Hunch.
We're going to put your brother's
there will be
idea
an
into
image.
fruition. Hinch's Hunch.
I shouldn't have said it. Makes me sound like a hunchback.
It's going to be just like this. Oh, I've got something to tell you guys. Everyone gather close. So you can find your newsletter weekly every Tuesday evening. Just cruise on over to Voice of San Diego. Go to their newsletter section and see if you can find the South County letter.
Report.
The South County report. Every Tuesday, get on in there. Yeah, man, whatever we can do, man, to help pass the word or do the thing. Bingo, there it is. Subscribe now. Throw my stuff in there, BJ, because I need to subscribe to that stuff ASAP. And we'll go. That's not my email. Laser Latino, you silly guy. Thank you for taking time out of your day to come down here and introduce yourself to us. I appreciate that. And I look forward to meeting with you more and more and more and just kind of like, getting to know each other and just kind of like finding out. I'd like to know what's going on in our city, dude. Like, hey, what are you working on this month? What are you doing this week?
What's the drama this week?
Happy to do it. Happy to do it.
Oh, man. Final thoughts. Anything out of your corner, sir?
Just that I really love being back in Southern California.
Yeah.
It's like awesome. I mean, I wake up every morning. I was just drinking my coffee this morning, and I just like look out the window. I live in San Diego, and it's just like the sun is like shining in. The air is cool. The sun is warm. I'm like, it's going to be another perfect day.
Look at you.
And this is my home.
That's weird because all I keep hearing is the mass exodus of people leaving San Diego, people leaving California.
Yeah, well, not this guy.
Yeah, not true.
There is one more important question that we do need to ask. We ask this of everybody that comes through, and we need to like test their mettle a little bit.
All right.
Favorite burrito spot?
Oh,
Well, I haven't been to too many, but I do like the taco stand in North Park, which is not that far from where I live.
it's far enough, Jim. It's far enough.
Next month, we're bringing them Lolitas.
We're bringing him some. Yeah, we'll bring some Lolitas. We'll bring a little
so
something. We got to get you acclimated.
You guys need to educate
Yeah,
me.
yeah. I don't know if we're the
Absolutely.
educators, but we'll definitely
Because
show you
said, this
some
is
things.
training day, and I'm Denzel. Let's go.
Usually when I'm in South County, I'm just working a meeting
sure.
with people. I don't have time to go sample the street food or the burrito scene.
Yeah.
But I would love
We
to.
got you.
We are your
I would
pipeline to that.
absolutely
We definitely.
love to.
It's
You
one
get
thing
us
we can do.
politics, we'll get you burritos.
You know what? We're gonna have to take him to the place we went to the other day, El Gacho, right there, right on the. What is it called?
The TJ something.
Yeah, we'll go to that. It's a good spot.
What do you get there?
It
What do you
depends
get
because it's like 4 restaurants under one hub. So they have sushi, they have mariscos, they have
Oh, wow.
burritos, they had I think pastries and just tacos and
Delicious
and
clamatos.
birria. Yeah, we'll take you there. It's an endless supply.
I was just visiting a friend in Long Beach, and we just walked from his house to like a pop-up
Were you crip walking?
tent.
No, my bad. Sorry. I think everyone in Long Beach just crip walks.
That's how they get
Totally
around.
do. Yeah, when I'm not dressed for work, I've got the sag. I've got no. But and they had, and my friend said you have to get the pastor burrito. I'm like, okay. So they've got like the spit and whatever, and the guy slices it up. This is this burrito. This is a big burrito. It's 100% pastor with maybe 1 bean and 1 cilantro leaf and 1 chip of onion in there.
Too much.
The rest, the meat.
Yeah.
This was the.
Oh, man, all right. So now that we know that you're into that,
I wasn't like
we'll find him a spot or two.
like I wasn't hungry for like the next 3 days or something. I mean, it was a meal in your hand.
I feel like those are the best places to get caught up on
Yeah.
local happenings. What's going on in the hood? Oh, let's go down to the taco shop. Let's just
Exactly.
In the South Bay, we have instead of barber shops, we have the taco shops. We just all hang out and like catch up on our gossip and our cheesiness down there.
Cool.
Dog. Jim Hinch, bro. Thank you for making time to come in.
Thank you.
We
Thank
look
you.
forward to seeing you soon. We'll work on this calendar and make it a monthly thing, man.
Great. Yep.
Appreciate
Perfect.
you, brother. Thank you very much.